and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and in this episode we'll be talking about our approach to cybersecurity and how it has to change depending on the area of application. I'm joined today by Frederik De Meyer. He's the Vice President of Software and IoT at Siemens Building Products. Frederik, thank you for joining us.
Hi, you're welcome.
So in different areas of application in our industry, how does this change the way that we look at cybersecurity?
Well, as we have with physical security, the demands from the businesses and the applications are very different. If you compare, for example, a nuclear power plant or a big commercial infrastructure or light commercial infrastructure, also the needs for physical security are completely different. And this is not going to change in a cyber world. Okay,
so to access a nuclear power plant obviously should be very difficult. It should only be people who are allowed to access, and this importance of access is different from what we see in a commercial application. Mm-hmm. And this is reflected in the cybersecurity world?
Exactly. Well, with technology and also the function of the building changes as we are today, due to that fact, also in the cyber world, we need to look after these different requirements. It starts with user management, but beyond that, there are a lot more other things that you need to take into account.
And what drives this difference? Is it the impact that drives this?
Well, exactly. So in the end of the day, it's about the protection as such. If you look after the requirements in a building for a nuclear power plant, it's really certain areas can only be accessed by certain people. And it's the same for information. So not all the information should be available. If we look at, for example, an R&D site that is also part of a commercial building, in the commercial building itself, we have a lot more people that should have access to the building, but also to the information. However, there's some very protected areas in the building, like high-tech, R&D, where the information of the connected building can only be accessible by a certain small part of the visitors.
Okay, so it's not just a building as a whole, but it also can be parts of this building that have different requirements. And these are again reflected in the cybersecurity approach.
Yeah, exactly. And with the connected buildings of today, we have a lot more interaction between the people working or visiting the building as such and the application. So that's why for cybersecurity, we need to take care of making sure that the people that have only access to the information, that it is well protected.
So more touch points mean we have to be more careful with who has this access.
Indeed.
And in previous episodes, you've talked about business continuity and how important this is. I could imagine also in these applications, when we talk about a power station or a hospital, this impact of business continuity has a huge bearing on how we approach this.
Oh yes, and this is what we also call security in depth. So as a matter of fact, we have several layers that, depending on the criticality of the application itself, that you need to make sure that you have it well protected in different layers, also in an IT environment.
Okay, and we've also spoken before about cybersecurity is not something you can do on day one and then forget. I could imagine that the stringent maintenance would also be reflected with the criticality of the infrastructure.
Exactly. So in the different onions of the security in that principle, we need to make sure that we have the security and the right level of security at different levels in order to protect exactly not only the business, but also the information that goes along with it.
Perfect. So to wrap up, this topic is something that isn't just changing on a day-to-day basis because of the landscape within our industry, but also for every application, every building, there is a different approach which needs to be assessed and addressed in the correct manner. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you all for joining us on Buildings of Tomorrow. Please like, share, or comment on this episode and subscribe to us here on this channel. We'll see you again soon.